Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So on today's video, we are going to be working on a sketch using the Cartabella Spring Market. And I'm so excited because I really do love this paper collection. When it first came out, I was very excited for us to be getting it into the boutique, and I was so grateful there was some left that I could still get it. And I will make sure to have links to it down below. So I'm going to start off. I picked out the photos that I wanted to use, and I'm using a template that I have to figure out what size I wanted the photo to be. So once I decided I wanted it to be at the mat to be 4 by 4, I take that back, I'm sorry. The photo is 4 by 4. I'm cutting the mat to 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. So that way it has just a slight border going around the photos. And then I'm going to set those aside once I cut these down. Since the photo's already 4 inches on the width, I just cut the length down the 4 inches. So what we're going to do is we're going to be using the paper that's on the bottom as our base. And this particular one I'm going to use to cut out my different shapes. And I knew for the edge that looked like it had a scallop, I wanted to um, just cut a 2-inch strip because I can get my edge and then just trim it down later. So I figured out another template that I wanted to use because I wanted that very specific shape. And once I laid it down, I saw where it was kind of laying on my cutting tool, and I'm going to cut a piece of the pattern paper so that way I know that it's going to fit. And then later on, I'll do it again only because I decide at first I was just going to do a 1 layer piece, and then with the way that it was imaged on the sketch, it made me think, well, what happened if I layered it? And I'm doing all of these extra pieces just using the one sheet. On the scallop border, I'm just going to use this backside, which is the leaves and the greens and whites. And then for the largest portion of the scallop shape on the side, I'm going to be using the flip side with the roses and the uh, leaves and stuff. So once I get everything traced out with my templates, I'm just going to go ahead and cut my shape. And what I try to do when I'm cutting is just making sure that I try to move the paper more so than I move the scissors. I know a lot of other people who do quite a bit more fussy cutting than me, only because I'm just not good at that. That whole holding that one thing still, I know I talk about that all the time, but sometimes I'm not the greatest. So after I went around, and whenever you cut something by hand, just use some of your ink, distress ink, to go around the edges. On this one, I just grabbed the black soot and decided to ink up my edges all the way around. Okay, so I'm laying it down just to see, how this was going to look on the page. And I realized that one is long, and when I looked at the photo, it was a little bit shorter. So I was like, I could still get the general shape and just cut it down. But I decided to bring out also an oldie but goodie, which is my scallop border. And this one, it looks like it has the lace, like the little lace part on the scalloped edge. And it's super quick to use these. I love these little border things because you can use them real quick and you get a nice border and you don't have to pull out a machine and do all that. So I like to do that every once in a while. Just pull these back out, and sometimes it's nice to go old school in a way. So once we go all the way across, actually I think I'm cleaning out the first half that we did. Now we're going to do the other half. And the key is to make sure you use the key that's on the side where you line up your paper so that way you don't miss a section and you have. Alright, so once we got done and I cleaned that up, um, I'm probably going to wind up cutting this down, and I'll show you guys that in a little bit. But first, I want to work on the background of the actual layout. And you can see here I'm about to jump, and I'm jumping only because, like I said, I didn't want to go through all that on the particular video. But I decided to use two different stencils. One is a crackle, and one is, I'm not even sure what that one is. It's not dots, they're like little squares. But I just wanted to go ahead and get some of these laid down. And I should have pre-treated my paper before we got started. I normally do, because especially if I want to use sprays and stuff like that, using a clear coat of gesso or putting down white gesso or stuff like that, anything that's going to help protect the paper, because I do wind up having a lot of warping once I'm done with all this. And laying this down, you're not going to really be able to see because the paste is white, but we are laying down as fast as I can as much of the pattern that we can, keeping in mind that the photos and the scalloped edge or the decorative edge that we're creating is probably going to be covering most of it. So once I lay down a few things with that, I'm going to grab the other stencil, and we're going to continue doing the same thing here and there, putting down the embossing. I want to say it's the crackle paste. Crackled embossing paste is what we're using here. And I originally got this from the boutique, and I'm actually running really low, which is not fun. So after this part here, I'm actually going to let the video run for a little bit. And if I come up on anything that I feel like I want to explain or go over with you guys, I will hop back in. But for the most part, I've done this before in previous videos, which I'll link down below. And mostly at the end of the videos where those links will be. And it'll some of them I go more step by step by step, and if you want any more details on it, you could always leave a question in the comment section, and I will definitely read it over and try and explain further if you need me to, okay? But sit back, relax, and enjoy, and I'll let the music go as we work on this project. Okay, so here we're going to get ready. I put some paper over the photos and I've shook up my picket fence distress stain spray, and we're going to go ahead and tap all around to give some of those white splatters. And with this one, I like using the nozzle. So I'll stick it inside, and then as you can see, I'm hitting it with the everything tool and getting the different splatters on using that. Now, I did notice that in some places it absorbed, so it didn't stay very bright white. Uh, if you can, they have stuff like, I think it's called gouache out there. I have a Copics opaque white that sometimes I'll use, or you can even use your white gesso. Okay, but I'm just going to splatter up now that everything is complete. And at the very end, you're going to see photos of the final project. Some will not have the final titles on it. And right here, and looking at everything, I was thinking I needed something else in the splatters. I liked just the black and the white, but I wanted to add something to it. So I decided I was going to grab one of my color bloom sprays. And this one I grabbed, I think it's still right here. It's the blue. Fairy Pond is the name. It's the Color Bloom 2 spray. And I decided to do pretty much the same exact thing. I didn't cover up the photo, so I wasn't like splattering crazy. But I just wanted to tap it so I can get some of that blue that I have in the flowers there onto the project itself. Um, and I think it turned out good. It was just enough of the blue just to give it a little bit of a little pizzazz. And it brings out the blue that's in the photo in the sky. All right. And at the end of this, then it's really complete. I think I like how everything turned out. And like I said before, as we get started, you're going to see how I finished everything off at the end of the photos. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining me today. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And down below, there will be links to everything that I can link to for scrapbookingwithme.com, the .com store. And if you do go over there and purchase, make sure at the end in the coupon code that you put my code, the TT15. And I also have that in the comments down below. All right, so thank you guys so much again, and I will see you with our next video, which on Tuesdays normally it's either some type of a technique or something. I try to make them a little bit shorter, those videos, not as long, but I can't always promise that. So I will see you guys with our next video, and you have a great day.